If this is your first time on the video, my name is Christopher Pollard. I have been a photographer for over 16 years, Studio 713 on Instagram, and I'm also the creator, owner of ModelCon, the largest modeling conference in California, soon to be the United States. We've been growing, 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 excited for another year of education and graduates. So people join our model coaching program and they get to cross the stage and earn their certificate of completion also at ModelCon. And I'll let you introduce yourself as well.
My name is Fatima Irvin. I've been modeling 5 years now and a little change here. And I am a sign model. I also assist Christopher in coaching and mentoring. I'm also the team lead for ModelCon, so that's exciting. And this year will be my third time around with you for
Yeah,
ModelCon.
yeah, 3 years.
But I've been going to your classes and workshops for a long time, since before we started working together.
Yeah, you've been to at least 2 or 3 classes that I
Mhm.
can remember
Mhm.
before we started working together.
Mhm.
So you were already consistent, or
Mhm.
trying to be with modeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, what would you feel like your career has been pretty consistent over those 5 years?
I think there was some points where I was like, damn, and you know how life goes up and down. So there's some pauses or some laps, or maybe you just need to slow down a bit and your work is slower. So there's definitely those times, but I think the last year and a half for sure has been really consistent.
Yeah,
It's almost kind of taken a different route.
it has.
Not like separate from modeling, but like a branch of it. It's like branched off a little bit. So yeah.
There's so many different directions that you could go in this industry. And I say it all the time, like you could join in as a model
Mhm.
and then end up being on the production team or
Mhm.
actually being a designer or a makeup artist. Like you can come in at any direction. And then once you get there, you're like, you know what? I actually like doing this more, but I
Mhm.
didn't know that until I started in the
Right.
first place.
Exactly.
Yeah, so cheers to consistency. Cheers to saying yes to new opportunities that come your way.
Hmm.
And but tonight we are going to be talking about some of that decision making,
Hmm.
actually, and how to deal with anxiety and how to deal with overthinking, especially as a model in this industry. And it's just surprising to me, it's surprising, a surprising amount of people that actually have a high level of anxiety or high level of overthinking in their day-to-day life, and they're really struggling with that.
Hmm.
And it can be a deterrence for you. It can be something that holds you back from opportunities, from being saying yes to something that's even being offered to you in the first place, or even just preventing yourself from trying at
Hmm.
all. And so we're going to talk about that tonight. We actually put this question in our broadcast channel on Instagram and got a lot of responses.
Hmm.
And we'll cover some of those tonight as well. And I guess the first step here is, how do we define anxiety? How do we define overthinking? What are we talking about?
Hmm.
So for overthinking, I kind of just like wrapped my mind around creating problems that don't exist. Like
In simple terms, yeah.
yeah, you're making something up in your mind that is creating this alternative outcome in a negative way, and it hasn't actually happened. You're just creating it.
Hmm.
What about you? How would you define overthinking?
I would define it in a sense, if I had to explain it to somebody who didn't know what overthinking was, I would say that overthinking is your mind making up all of the possibilities that it can possibly think of out of one scenario, and those possibilities restricting you or scaring you in some kind of way. I feel like there could be a plethora of like good thoughts that can come forth during overthinking, and that could also scare you. But more times than not, it's negative. So yeah, if I had to explain something, I would think that like overthinking was just your mind coming up with all these different possibilities of things that could go wrong or change the position you're in.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I just Googled it really quick because sometimes it helps wrap our mind around the problem when we know what the problem is.
Right.
Right. So the first step is admitting that there is a problem
Mhm.
and like, okay, let's unpack this a bit. So I just Googled it, and here's what Google said: overthinking, to think too much about something, to put much time into thinking about or analyzing something in a way that is harmful, more harmful than helpful. Overthink a situation, problem, someone who overthinks and worries too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your mind's making up all these different scenarios.
So we're live right now on Zoom. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can still participate. Let us know in the comment section below. I'm gonna ask our live audience here today. So out of everybody who's here right now, how many of you feel like you are also dealing with trying to overcome overthinking or anxiety? Right. So as you guys are answering that question about overthinking and anxiety, how many of you are feeling that stress in your life, or you're trying to find ways to handle that? Let's define anxiety now, because how is that different than overthinking? Because I feel like anxiety is almost like, because these are natural human emotions to feel, first of all. So if you do feel them, there's nothing wrong with you for feeling that way. You're allowed to feel how your body responds to something, but we do have to control how much we allow it to go in that direction, right? So anxiety for me, whenever I feel anxious, I feel like I'm in a hurry to do something. And it could just be emotionally, it could be actually physically. Like I hate running late. I probably feel it the most when I'm actually running late, but sometimes I just feel like I'm running late in life.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I'm just like, dude, I'm not where I want to be yet. And I just get this
Oh my
feeling
God,
of
yeah.
like, oh, I want to be there already.
I did not think of it that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you put that into perspective just now.
Because I've felt it. I'm like, oh, why do I feel this way? And like, how do I define this emotion that I'm just experiencing in my body? And I feel like I'm in a rush.
I never thought, because I get that feeling too, like I'm moving too slow, I'm not doing enough. I never categorized that as anxiety though in my head. Like I didn't think that was anxiety. I think I was just overthinking. But I guess overthinking is a form of anxiety.
It could be, yeah.
I just thought of anxiety as a more extreme physical reaction to maybe like frustration or being overwhelmed in a certain point in time or with a certain situation. So if I was getting overwhelmed by the amount of work that was getting thrown on my plate, then I would be like exasperated. I would be snappy with people. I would just want to crawl in bed and go to sleep. And I kind of, in my mind, I kind of thought, okay, that's anxiety.
Yeah. So
So
you'll feel overwhelmed,
yeah,
and then
my physical reaction to being overwhelmed, I thought was my anxiety.
could be,
It could be, but
right?
it's just a
And
form,
then
a different
you
form of
kind of said like your
anxiety.
response to that is like shutting down,
Yeah, like
going to sleep.
I want to I want to run away. Like I think like sleep is my coping mechanism. Like I'm don't care about dealing with this right now. I'm gonna take a nap, and that is how I cope. So
Yeah, I mean that could be effective, right? So we're gonna talk
in
about
some cases, like excessively,
right,
but
yeah. Well, we're gonna talk about coping methods as well and how we deal with these emotions. So I took the time again to Google anxiety. So just we're all on the same page here. Here's what Google says. Anxiety is a common emotion. Um, Anxiety is a common emotional state characterized by feelings of unease, worry, fear, and apprehension.
Okay.
It can range from mild to severe and can be accompanied with physical symptoms such as increased heart rate, sweating, restlessness, tension, difficulty concentrating, and
And
fatigue.
fatigue.
So that
I'm
makes
going to
sense.
bed. I'm overwhelmed. I'm going to bed.
Yeah. So let's see here. Let's check the chat. 100% all the time dealing with this. Tashara has her hand raised. It's truly a blessing and a curse. Brandis says, definitely me. I have issues with being around people in general, but love me overall. I just get anxiety with being on camera and in front of people, mainly
Mhm.
because I'm trying to please the people I work for.
Mhm. That's a
Yeah,
bar right there.
being a people pleaser.
Mhm.
Wisdom says anxiety is a side effect of overthinking and deepening,
That's what I
depending
thought
on the
too. That's
situation.
what I thought too, yeah.
Fatima, definitely right. A nap is my cure too.
But it's not a cure, that's the problem.
Definitely last video shoot, I was sweating,
Mhm.
but got walked, got walked through it. Yeah.
Mhm. Good.
So, yeah, I mean, that's not something you want to do when you're like, if you're a model now and you're dealing with anxiety or overthinking,
Mhm.
man, it's so paralyzing. But
Yeah.
if you are like doing a photo shoot and now you're feeling anxiety and you're like breaking into a sweat, I could just
Your
imagine like,
clothes getting sweaty.
yeah, the
Yeah.
armpits, like the makeup, just
Mhm.
everything can just be ruined at some
Mhm.
point because we're having to deal with these emotions and we're trying
Mhm.
to figure them out.
Mhm.
And so I think through that process, you have to understand like where does that emotion come from? What triggers that emotion to happen in the first place?
Mhm.
And that takes a lot of self-reflecting
Mhm.
and self-love. We have to be able to understand our bodies, understand our emotions, understand our thought processes, and what makes us respond in that way.
Mhm.
Because Madison says she's dealing with it like all the time.
Yeah, and just to preference this conversation, we're not a licensed therapist and
Yeah.
we don't, we're not diagnosing anybody. And obviously, if you're somebody who has chronic anxiety or something on the more severe side, I think we're having this conversation for people who don't have it as severely as that. I think if it's overtaking parts of your life, then it is something you should seek help for sure. But I think we're trying to walk each other through and then you guys through as well, how to cope with it in a more tame setting. And so, yeah, that dealing with it 100% of the time, I can't even imagine how difficult that is for you. Like, that's insane.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for saying
Yeah.
that. And we actually, there's a video that
Mhm.
is on my YouTube. If you go back a few episodes, it's called Mental Health for Models. And I had a live call like this where I actually had a licensed therapist join the call. And we talked about all of these subjects and more and how to deal with them from her perspective. So it's a great video, it's very valuable. I suggest watching that one. Maybe I'll put a link to that in the show notes below as well, so you can hear what she had to say, someone who is licensed to actually give advice. And actually somebody I would recommend to reach out to if you're
Mhm.
looking for someone to at least provide some additional resources. So those
Mhm.
are available to you. So please check out that video if you are dealing with this on a debilitating level.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So when this, I guess, where do we leave off? We're talking about, we did definitions,
Mhm.
and then we're talking about recognizing those emotions and what
Yeah.
triggers them.
Yeah. Mhm.
So for me, I've it's hard to define because I don't always feel anxious.
Mhm.
I'm pretty chill.
Let it be.
I'm pretty mellow. I'm laid back. I've always been this way.
Mhm.
But there are definitely times where I feel overwhelmed, like
Mhm.
yourself. And when I do feel that way, something I've read in a book once was to identify your feelings.
Mhm.
So and this can work with any emotion, anger, sadness, anxiety, any emotion that you're feeling and it's not comfortable. You first ask yourself the question, how do I feel?
Mhm.
Like, what is this that I'm feeling right now? And you can identify that as a particular emotion. So,
Mhm.
how am I feeling? And then asking yourself the question, why do I feel that way? So, if I'm angry, yes, I'm acknowledging I'm angry right now. And then why am I angry? Well, this situation happened, this occurred, this something somebody said to me offended me, or this scenario happened in my life. So I'm
Mhm.
angry because of this. Now I can identify how I feel and why I feel that way. And then the third step,
Mhm.
which is what I was reading, is okay, what can I do to feel better right now? What can I do to feel better right now? And then now when you ask yourself that question, you can kind of reframe your mind into focusing on something different, which we're going to talk a lot about. Anxiety and overthinking is kind of reframing your mindset, and we'll give you some more strategies behind that. But when you can ask yourself, what can I do to feel better right now? It could be listening to music, it could be dancing, it could be, hanging out with a close friend, maybe your kid, maybe your pet, something that brings you joy, something that brings you comfort.
Mine is chocolate.
Everything with limitation, right?
Chocolate, actually, I think I read an article about this, don't quote me on it, but I think I read an article, and chocolate releases endorphins in your head to make you happy. Just me.
What is that? It's not melatonin. It's not.
It's
dopamine.
I think it's dopamine.
Yeah.
The happy drug.
So a piece of candy. I mean, I think
that's mine.
That's something enjoyable, right? Like it could be a drink of water.
True.
It could be
exercise. Exercise also releases happy endorphins in your head too. So yeah, that's something to look into as well.
Have you ever just been like having a bad day, didn't want to go to the gym, but went anyway, and just like,
oh yeah, like my weekend morning classes, I'm like, oh, I don't want to go. I feel terrible today. Excuse me. I'm in a bad mood. I don't want to talk to anybody. And then I go and I work out and I actually push through it. And I'm like, man, that was great work. I feel great. I'm ready to do more. Like, let me go clean the house. Let me go talk to my mom or something, like, yeah. So definitely working out helps in some cases for sure.
Absolutely. And here's a quote I want all of you guys to write down right now. If you got a pen and paper, or put this in your phone, your note tab. Motion creates emotion. Motion creates emotion. So what do I mean by that? If you literally think about when someone is feeling down or frustrated or sad, like their body, their posture, it's written over their face. They're slouching, their heads down, like you can tell, like I'm not in a good mood. Like I don't want to be here. I'm sad. And then when you can literally just sit upright, create better posture for yourself, like imagine yourself as a superhero, and now you're standing up, you got your hands on your hip, and you can put yourself physically into a powerful position that'll create the emotion that is identified with it. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm feeling sad, I'm like this. If I'm feeling happy, boom, I'm posture up, my head's high, I'm smiling. So you can actually change your physique and to help you change your emotion. Motion creates emotion. Wisdom says, put your chocolate in the freezer. It's a game changer.
I love that. I actually do that sometimes.
I actually have some candy in the freezer right now.
Don't tell me that. I'm about to go rummage through his fridge. I don't put my chocolates in the freezer, but I will put them in the fridge.
Yeah, my daughter actually does that. So I have like 4 or 5 like Reese's Pieces or Reese's peanut butter cups.
I won't eat them because they're your daughters, but just know.
LaDana says, that's my chocolate, that's why chocolate is such a staple for Valentine's Day. You feel anxiety on Valentine's Day?
No, because it just makes you happy.
Oh,
you give chocolates to your girl and she's like, oh my God, I love chocolates. I love you.
I get it. But yeah, so like what are some more ways that you deal with either overthinking or anxiety? Like which one do you feel like you experience more?
I feel like, oh gosh, I feel like I overthink more than I feel anxiety, but overthinking can lead to anxiety. So I don't think it's like one over the other. I feel like one causes the other in a lot of cases for me. So yeah, I get triggered easily to overthink when it's a situation with miscommunication or lack of communication between me and another person, specifically somebody who I work closely with, or maybe like a friend, maybe like a friend or a family member. And so I can get overwhelmed if there's a lack of communication, and I can start overthinking, does this person not like me anymore? What did I do wrong? Those sort of things. And that leads to anxiety. And then also, like I said before, when there's too much work on my plate, or work that seems very I don't know, like negative in a way.
What feels negative?
Like if I get, say like you get a letter in the mail from the IRS and they're like, yeah, you owe us $300.
Oh yeah, that's
I don't know why you owe us $300, but you owe us $300. And I'm like, oh my God, no, overwhelmed instantly, throw the letter in the drawer and
I
forget
think that
about
would
it.
overwhelm anybody. What the
But things
unexpected
like that.
bills and car problems.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I just had to get two new tires, an oil change, and an alignment all in the last like 24 hours. Or like maybe like 48 hours.
Oh.
Unexpected. I mean, the oil change was kind of expected, but the tires and the alignment all at once, yeah, it's a little bit of anxiety. I can
So,
admit to that.
so when adulting things like that come up, I get, especially if it's more than one adulting thing at the same time, I'm like, bruh, leave me alone. I need to take a nap immediately. I get anxious. I think my taxes last year, I was like doing my taxes and the IRS was like, they flagged it and they're like, yeah, we need to make sure you're you. And instantly I was like riddled with anxiety and I was overthinking. I was like, oh my God, they're gonna come knock on my door and arrest me.
Boom, boom, boom.
I think I told you, Chris, or I was like, bro, I'm going to jail. They're coming to get me. I don't know what I did wrong, but they're coming to get me. Like I was so anxious. It's crazy. I was overthinking it.
Yeah, because just this that's fear, right? Like
Mhm.
you're creating
Yeah.
a problem and you're elevating it to this big thing,
Yeah.
and it was something minor.
Yeah. They just
Yeah,
made
and
me
it usually
a
is,
lot of
right? Like
people's
I feel like we can create a problem for ourselves and go down this rabbit hole of negativity and making it into a really big deal. And then you do it and you're like, oh, well, that wasn't so bad.
That wasn't so bad actually.
Yeah, like I would imagine like for a child, even for adult, I guess, but I just got this thought of you ever go down like a huge water slide?
Oh my God, yes.
Like
I
you
remember.
go all the way up the steps and you're like, oh my God, like am I really gonna go down this slide? And you're like this all this anxiety, this fear, maybe even overthinking comes in, and then you get down there and you're like, let's do it again.
Yeah, I did it again. That was so fun.
Let's see, anxiety for sure. And I actually underthink, LaDana says.
Interesting.
So you just go for it. That's Madison said, that sounds nice. Underthinking.
You don't process like the possibilities or anything. You just
Just kind of go for it. Some of the best athletes in the world, some of the most successful people, I feel like maybe are underthinkers. I had a conversation with Luciera,
mhm.
the supermodel who came out to ModelCon last year, and she told me like, this is her words, like I feel like I have um some level of autism or something like that. It was like ADHD. I forgot what word she used, but she was like, no one in their right mind would just go and do what I did without any fear or hold back. She said she didn't even hesitate. She made a decision at like 17 that she's going to move across the country and pursue her dream as a model with no job, no backup plan, didn't know where she was going to stay or anything. She was like, yep, I'm going to go do it. And she went and did it, obviously. But she said, like, no one in their right mind would just go and do that. Like, she maybe is an underthinker to a degree. But sometimes that can work out to your advantage as long as it's not like harmful, dangerous,
Oh, yeah.
immoral,
Mhm.
unethical. Then in terms of like following your dreams,
Mhm.
then you could have a competitive advantage over somebody. Let's see. Overthinking. I did that with a parking ticket, totally forgot about it. And because I'm a procrastinator, I keep forgetting about it. Yeah, so overthinking can lead to procrastination.
My fast track tickets are like, and they add interest on those things. Like, yeah, interest every time you don't pay. They're like extra $5 right on top.
So you have such a fan base here. Like she says that if you went to jail, she would write you.
Oh, I'll be looking for the bail money, but I'll take your letter too. I'm just kidding.
Okay, so coping mechanisms, right? How we overcoming, and we had a conversation about this earlier.
Mhm.
I know you did some research
Mhm.
on how to overcome overthinking,
Mhm.
and you gave me a lot of insight. You remember some of
Yeah.
the things you broke down?
Yeah. So, a lot of times, okay, when I was doing my research, overthinking, I was watching this video, this therapist was breaking it down a lot for me, and I was like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. But and it works for me too, the thing that she was breaking down. So in a sense, and this is just one of those methods, she was saying that a lot of time overthinkers think that their thoughts are a part of them or are of them. And what that means is like, she says that you have a thought and then you have yourself. And when yourself has that thought, if you're an overthinker or a person riddled with anxiety, you think that that thought is you. You're like one with the thought. And so it becomes truth to you. And some of the things that she explained was that the practices she does with her clients or some of the people who struggle with this is that she tries to get the client to separate the thought from themselves. And if you separate the thought and you believe that the thought is separate from yourself, then you no longer believe the thought to be true, unless you want it to be true. So
Interesting.
yeah, that was like, I was like, that's crazy. I never thought of it that way.
So you're separating the thought.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you told me also that you identify it, like you give it a name.
Yeah, so that's one of the practices that she does. She has her clients name the voice in their head. So if you're one of those people, if you're one of the very, very, very few people in the world who don't hear a voice in your head, this probably won't work for you. But if you do hear the voice in your head and it's your own voice, and it comes up with all these crazy thoughts, some are impulsive, some may be dangerous, some may be scary or weird or very loving, these impulsive thoughts, and you hear your voice, you can name that voice. And by default, your brain will think that, oh, I've named that voice something other than myself. So it is not myself. It is not, me. In a sense, that
Yeah.
sounds kind of
It
crazy.
does sound a little like different, right? So what you're saying is if I am an overthinker
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want to be, like I'm trying
Mm-hmm.
to control this emotion that I feel,
Mm-hmm.
and I get into a scenario where I'm like, well, what if this happens, or what if this happens, or well, maybe I shouldn't do it, or should I do it, or should I not
Mm-hmm.
do it? And you're like trying to figure it out, and you're like, you know what, this is not me feeling this way. This is, let's just say John Doe.
John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John is trying to control my mind right now. He's making me worry. He's
Mm-hmm.
making me anxious and do these things. Like, I'm not going to listen to John right
Mm-hmm.
now. That's a thought that I don't believe and I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to retain for myself. So I'm going to separate that thought,
Mm-hmm.
give it a name, and then what do I do with it?
So now that you've named your thoughts or the voice that gives those thoughts, you can have sort of like a dialogue. And again, it sounds kind of weird, but I feel like we all talk to ourselves. Stop it. I know you're lying. You
Who
talk to
thinks out
yourself.
loud? Let me know in the chat right now. You are when you think, you're like talking to yourself out loud, or just do it in your own head. Because I feel like we all like kind of have a conversation with ourselves.
With
And you guys do
myself,
that
yeah.
too. Yeah.
Kind of weird, but
I
yeah.
was
So
there, walked in the room, and be like, who are you talking to?
my mom,
Yeah.
when I was younger. So yeah, so now that you've named John and you're Christopher, and John is this voice in your head that's giving you all these problems, and now you can have sort of this dialogue with John, the voice. You'd be like, yeah, that might happen, but I want this to happen instead. And then you focus on what you actually want to happen. And typically it's the negative versus the positive, and you're always going to go with the positive.
You
And
should.
yeah, you should. In in the end result, you always want to succeed versus, fail. So if John is telling you you're going to fail, and you're like, yeah, John, I might fail. Love your input, but I'd rather succeed, so I'm focused on that. And so that in and of itself is separating John, the voice or the negative thoughts, from Christopher Pollard, who you are.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. It reminds me of a story I heard about how to play golf. Have you ever
Mm-hmm.
played golf?
Like mini golf.
Okay, yeah, that could work too. But let's say traditional golf, right? There's the sand pit, there's like the lake,
Mm-hmm.
and there's like this woodsy area, all the places that you don't want the ball to go in that
Mm-hmm.
direction. And it's a pretty, I guess, in the golf community, it's trained that wherever you want the ball to go, which is toward the hole, then you need to focus your attention on where you want it to go and not just kind of like avoid thinking and looking at the areas of where you don't want it to go.
Yeah.
And the guy who was telling this story, it was like a golf competition, a tournament, and they're going up against this other kid that was just really great. It was his son that was playing. And so the father is like a father-son thing. And the two sons are like rivals. And his son wasn't very good at golf at all. Like he was terrible. Like he was just doing it for fun, but he was not hitting the ball anywhere where it should have gone. And the other kid, he was like one of the best, always top of the league. And it got to a point where the person that was really good at golf started talking mess about the kid that was bad at it. And then so at first they just let it slide, like, hey, we're just here for fun, it doesn't matter. But then it got really competitive. And he told his son, like, you know what? We're actually gonna win this time. We're not gonna do it for fun, we're gonna do it to win. And so he coached his son to get better at golf, to focus on where he wanted the ball to go and just improve his skill set. And it got to a point where now the kid that was originally not great was competing with the great kid, and they were like neck and neck. They got to a point like final hit, who's gonna win? Is we one or the other. And so the dad of the kid that was good saw that, and they kind of got a little scared. Right? Maybe they're overthinking now, feeling a little anxiety because the competition's getting high. And so he went and he told his son that whatever you do, don't hit it in the grass or the sand. And at that point, the guy who was telling the story is like, I knew we were going to win because he told his son what not to do instead of what direction to hit it in. So in golf, is saying like what you're saying here, you want to focus on what direction do you actually want to go in and avoid looking at all the negative things, all the blockages, all the things that could happen in a wrong way, and focus on getting the ball in the hole.
Yeah, there's a ski saying like that too. If you're
Oh, yeah.
skiing down a hill, don't think about not hitting the trees because you'll hit a tree. Yeah, I think like skiers actually like
yeah,
don't hit the tree, don't hit the tree, don't hit the tree because you're gonna hit the tree.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say too. Like going down, and now you're going through these trees, and you're like, don't hit a tree, don't hit a tree. Like, yeah,
You're gonna focus so much on a tree that you hit one.
don't focus on the
That's a good point.
obstacles. Don't focus on the obstacles. I like that scenario. Focus on the golf hole.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Dana says I do that a lot. Like focus on the obstacle. Oh my God, it's so bad.
Yeah, I don't focus on the obstacle.
So hopefully this conversation is a little helpful. We've already given a few different coping mechanisms of how to get through that process. We've identified what it is, and we got a few more here too. And something I learned from that therapist that we had on our live call. And again, if you are taking notes, this is something that you can be writing down or put into your journal. Journaling, by the way, is a great way to get through those emotions and identify what they are. But it's something called the grounding method. So this is a 5-step process to the grounding method. Right. So number one, you're going to name 5 things that you can see. So this can be helpful, particularly like right before you walk out to a runway show, or if you're on your way or like in the room of a photography studio, you're getting ready to come out and take those shots and you're just feeling a little overwhelmed, a little anxious. This method would work, especially in the moment, in those times. So you're going to find 5 things that you can see. And it could be literally anything. Like I see a microphone, computer, I see this light, I see my desk, I see like a TV, whatever, the wall, the floor. It could be all just 5 things you can see. Then you're going to go 4 things you can touch. So we're going to go down the line, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things that you can hear. And that one might be a little bit more tricky. Maybe there's music in the background. Maybe there's somebody's walking, you can hear their footsteps. When you like train your mind to focus on a particular sense,
Mhm.
it'll start to elevate. So 3 things that you can hear, 2 things that you can smell. Again, depending on where you are, that might be a little tricky. And 1 thing that you can taste. So you can go do all those things. What that does is help shift your focus from overwhelming thoughts to being in the present moment, calming your nerves before a shoot or run.
That's good. Can you say those 5 things?
Yeah, let's do that one more time. So in order for you to overcome anxiety or overthinking before you walk down that runway or before a big photo shoot, you're going to do 5 things. You're going to look at 5 things you can see, 4 things that you can touch, 3 things that you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. So that whole chocolate candy thing can come into play right there.
It's my chocolate candy.
Let's see what the comments are talking about. I will say, don't break a nail before the shoot. Oh, that's so she's like going down this line of like what not to do before a photo shoot. She'll say things like, don't break a nail. And then I literally will break a nail before every single shoot. It happens all the time. I normally, and when I don't even normally chip nails. So it only happens like right in that moment because you're so focused on not doing it. Yeah, your wisdom says you're speaking it into existence.
Yeah.
Your words are powerful.
I know when I'm like leaving the house in a rush and I'm like getting ready, maybe I'm brushing my teeth. I'm like, oh, I can't forget that. Don't forget your notebook. Don't forget your notebook. Don't forget your notebook. And I'll literally walk out with everything but my notebook because I forgot it. And I'm like, bro.
I've done that. I've done that a few times.
I literally had a whole conversation with myself. Don't forget it. And I forgot it.
Yeah, I've done that a few times. You know, one time I went from Sacramento to San Francisco to go do a photo shoot for a corporate client that I had. I got all the way there. I forgot my camera.
What did you do?
The whole camera. I had my lights, I had everything. I popped the trunk open and I'm like, bro.
What did you do?
Oh
Did
man.
you just go home? You're just like, I'm about to ghost these
No,
people today.
It was, you have to have the ability to problem solve.
So what did you take pictures on your phone?
No, I did think about that though. I'm like, yeah, I'm a really good photographer, trust me. And he's this iPhone 13. No, I looked up camera shops that are nearby where I could go and rent one. Or if I really had to, was like, can I just buy one, use it, and then return it? There's a restocking fee to that though. Luckily, I did find a local camera shop that had a similar camera to mine. I had to rent a camera and a lens and buy a memory card all at the same time. And I told him like literally about to go use this for like 2 hours and bring it back. But it was whatever fee it was, I just found it. I paid the fee and yeah.
Dang.
That was
you got really lucky.
I was lucky, but it wasn't an unexpected expense. That was anxiety. That was anxiety for sure.
Yeah. Everybody laughed at that shit.
Everybody's laughing. He used his phone. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't even thought of a camera shot. I'm like, yeah, let me whip out this phone for you.
Okay, so you told me a few ways. You told me that you have a counselor.
Oh, well, thanks. Yeah, everything's all crazy now. They probably thought I was crazy when I first said it. No, so when the lady, the therapist who I was learning from, gave me that idea to separate the voice from myself or the thoughts from my individual person, I was like, wait a minute, I kind of already do that a little bit, but I call my voice the counsel.
Because well, counsel gives the it's given that there's multiple people in the conversation.
Well, no, it's just me. It's just me and it's just me. But I just felt like in the moment I was like, yeah, I need to talk to a counsel. Like that sounds so me. So I was like, I'm just gonna call the voice the counsel. And it also makes me feel like there's something to be discussed. So instead of naming the voice like, oh yeah, that's just April talking or whatever, that's just April giving those That's just a little devil on my shoulder, whatever. But when I call it the counsel, when I call my thoughts the counsel, then I feel like it leaves room for discussion or debate, and I have a choice in the matter so that I'm not stuck with the negative thoughts and that's just the thought, you know? So if I have those negative thoughts, like, oh, my friend didn't text me for 3 days, she left me on red, she must be mad at me. And I'll be like, well, actually, that's just a counsel giving me that negative thought. Maybe my friend is busy, and I can have that like discussion or that back and forth, like, but maybe she's not mad at me, maybe it's that she's busy, or maybe she just needed time to process what I said, or maybe she just forgot to text me back. Let me hit her with another text message.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Because not all thoughts are reality, but some of those thoughts, even if they are negative, can be valid.
Right.
Like we have negative thoughts to protect ourselves from being injured or hurt. And so we should acknowledge that as well. Like just because you have a negative thought doesn't mean you shouldn't listen to it. Like it's there kind of as a warning for us to like, hey, this could be potentially dangerous, but then you have to analyze the situation. So I like the idea of a counsel because it creates room for like analyzing
the thought,
having like a conversation with yourself, like, is this a legitimate feeling that I have?
Like, is this a harmless fear, or is this a negative thought about my person or about myself? Like some people think, oh, I'm not good enough, or maybe I'm too short, or maybe I'm ugly. Those sort of thoughts, and they do come up here and there, like intrusive thoughts. Those sort of thoughts, I think, are just plain negativity versus the thoughts that may be a little bit more valid, like, oh, what if I get rejected? Like those thoughts, I feel like are a bit more legitimate than just ugly, those sort of things. And so another exercise is to separate the thoughts from yourself, has to do more with those really bad ones that you get down on yourself, maybe physically, about, maybe I'm too short, I'm too big, I'm too small, whatever. Those ones, those labels. Another way to separate those kind of thoughts from yourself or physical person is to get an object, a physical object, and it could be a rock or a piece of paper or anything like that, and either write down on the object what that label is or what that negative thought is about yourself, um, or you can name that object, that negative thought or label. So say my cell phone was a rock here, and I decided to label this, I'm ugly, because that's a thought that pops up here and there, right? So this rock is now named I'm ugly. And this exercise only works when and if you are ready to let that thought go. Because while you're holding the item, the rock, with that label, it's a part of you and you're holding on to it. And now you're forced to think about it because you're holding on to it. But whenever you're ready to let that thought go, whenever you're ready to stop believing that or to separate it from your person, you just get rid of it. Put it down, throw it away, burn the piece of paper, throw the rock into the river, kick, the bottle down the street, whatever it is, the item, and you just get rid of it. You detach it from yourself physically. And that is a subconscious practice. This is to trick your mind thinking, yeah, this thought was a part of me, but I no longer am accepting it as a part of me. And now I'm separating it from my physical self because I don't believe it to be true. So I'm going to set that thought down and leave it alone. And I'm going to walk away from it.
I love that.
Yeah. So that's another practice, another
Yeah.
thing to practice too. If you're more of a person that has thoughts that maybe tear you down physically in that sort of way, you give yourself negative labels, that practice is really good.
Yeah, that's deep. That's deep. I like that a lot because the idea that you are holding on to a negative thought or belief, and if you hold it long enough, it's going to get heavy.
Yeah.
It can weigh you down.
It's going to get annoying.
Yeah, it's always there. And you want to just, I feel like when you alleviate yourself from these emotions, it literally does feel like you have a weight lifted off of your shoulders.
Yeah, it does.
So I like that.
So turning that physical weight, that mental like idea of the weight being lifted off your shoulders to a physical concept, it just translates well for a lot of people.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Brenda says, very much needed this.
Yes.
Kalia says she sent us some hearts and hearts. So awesome. I'm glad you guys are getting value from this. Let me know in the chat, scale from 1 to 10, how valuable is this information that we're giving you tonight? If you're learning a lot, if you are just gaining something that you can walk away from and start implementing into your life.
Mhm.
Kalia says 10. Ladena says 10,000. I know we posted in the broadcast channel,
Mhm.
and we asked a few people about how do they handle going and coping with anxiety or overthinking. And we had quite a few responses. We won't go through all of them, but maybe we can touch on a few of those, just what everyday models are experiencing and thinking. Because in terms of specifically modeling, the ways that come up for you as a model that are making you overthink or making you feel anxious is a lot of times just getting in front of the camera.
Mhm.
Like the idea of having your photograph taken or being on video or having to say lines or go out in front of an audience full of people and everybody's looking at you. These are normal emotions that models can feel. Even the photographer can feel that same way. Like if you're watching this and you aren't a model, but you're a makeup artist, you're a designer, you're a photographer, you're anyone on the production team, when you are working in that environment, I feel like everybody's nerves are up.
Mhm.
And but can you execute even though?
Mhm.
Let's see here. Madison says, it's very similar to things I have learned in therapy. 10 out of 10. Definitely gained some insight. Definitely gained. Awesome. Glad you guys are learning here. So
Let's read. I don't know if any of the people who responded are on the live at this moment, but we can read some of what you guys said. Do you want to read it or no?
you can go ahead.
Okay, let's see.
Maybe pick a short one. Yeah, see, you would say some little books over here.
So the question was, is anybody struggling with overthinking, fear of success or failure, anxiety? And if you are, how can you, or how do you overcome it? Or how do you think other people can overcome those feelings? So somebody said, I'm currently dealing with all of it. I'm trying to get out of it by telling myself that I got this. Yeah,
So some
so
positive
positive
reinforcement.
positive affirmations. Yeah, affirmations help a lot too. Um, and then wisdom, I think wisdom's on the call tonight. Wisdom said, once you realize you're in the same position or continuing to move forward, no matter the outcome, that's all that's left is to do. All that's left is to do it. I would
So
agree.
taking action. Yeah.
Motion creates emotion.
Emotion creates emotion. And overthinking is another quote you guys can write down if you're taking notes. It causes the paralysis of analysis. Like you're just thinking so much that you're analyzing the situation that you're actually not doing anything about it. So now there is no results. You aren't creating any positive feedback for yourself, and you're allowing yourself to just be paralyzed in that, and you can't do it. You can't move forward without taking action. So like Ladena said, maybe underthink a little bit more and then just go and do it.
Yeah. There are some examples of how people, here's some more examples of how people cope. Someone said cheer. I guess they're cheerleaders. They like to rock climb. They like to run and exercise. A few people said pray. Somebody said, I say to myself, self, God did not place a spirit of fear in you. Get up, give it to God, and keep going.
Amen. I like that.
A lot of people actually said, I enjoy writing or journaling, listening to music. Someone even admitted to having a bad habit, which is smoking.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of reason people do smoke like cigarettes or marijuana to relax themselves and take that emotion away.
Yeah. And then again, music and journaling. Someone said, I feel the fear and do it anyways if my health permits. So he's like, I'm scared right now, but I'm still gonna jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're on the call, man, you're one of the very rare people in the world who can say, I'm scared, but I'm still gonna jump.
That's called bravery.
That, yeah.
You don't have
Bravery.
being brave isn't being fearless.
Mm-hmm.
Being brave is feeling scared but doing it anyway.
Yeah, that's another quote.
Yeah, we got bars
That's
tonight.
another
We
quote.
got bars.
That was good.
Talking yourself through those emotions actually goes a long way.
Mm-hmm.
Brenda says definitely took some notes about the grounding method, and I definitely fear both. I deal with it by saying affirmations every day, meditation, music. Also, before I go to sleep, another note I took that I thought helped was the voice of thought. Very powerful. So the counsel has helped.
Council.
I like that a lot.
Yeah,
Awesome, guys. I feel like we've gotten like so much value tonight.
that was really good.
It feels like I just want to hug everybody.
Aw,
We were doing this.
bring it in.
Yeah, we were bringing this in person, like, okay, group hug.
Yeah.
Actually, physical touch can cause anxiety too. Like some people are like uncomfortable. They don't want. I've seen people that are like,
Really?
yeah, they're like written all over the face, like I don't want to be here. And I'm like, dude, you look like you need a hug. And they're just like,
Don't touch me. You're gonna make it worse.
Yeah, you're making it
That's
worse.
interesting because actually, I read another study. Again, don't quote me. I just read studies sometimes. I read another study that was like actually hugging or just simple like one hug a day will literally extend your lifespan. And it heals you to hug.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also I read another study, again, don't quote me. I saw this one on Instagram. Women and gentlemen out there who have girlfriends, women when they cuddle or when they get cuddled, it helps their heart.
Their heart.
Yeah.
So like
it physically helps heal their
cholesterol.
Heart. Yeah, it physically helps heal their heart. I don't know. I saw that one on Instagram. Again, don't quote me. But yeah, I feel it. I'm like, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
You healed my heart.
They say the best medicine is laughter. So like,
yeah,
if you hugging people, cuddling. Actually, you know what? This is like we're kind of getting off track. I remember years ago, you could hire a professional cuddler.
You still can.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They're professional like people you can hire for like relationships, but there's people out there that you can call and be like, yeah, that's $50 and I'll come hug you or hold your hand or listen to you talk and cry for like 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, there are people that do that.
Interesting.
I looked it up too.
Do you have to be like licensed to do that?
I don't think so. I think you just start telling people, yeah, pay me and I'll hug you.
I'll start charging for hugs. Need some side money going. Yes, it releases endorphins, Claudemy says.
Yeah.
All right, any questions from y'all? I feel like we've given a lot of value, a lot of information, a lot of coping mechanisms and stories that we've shared that we've experienced in our own lives. Any last questions from you? That's something we didn't cover, you'd like us to cover again as we close out the end of this call. It's been an amazing conversation, actually. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Chris, for having me.
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah,
so,
I feel like I'm not here every Tuesday.
I'm just saying, like it's even that, just being around, being a part of this community and giving value in this way. It's unorthodox that we do this in the first place. Like I don't know anywhere else. I don't know anyone or anywhere else that is giving value to the modeling community in this capacity every week. We need it. Like seriously, I think Christopher and I was just talking about a specific person who was a little viral on social media, and their whole gag is to tell somebody why they can't model. And we were having this conversation, and another model brought it up to Christopher as well in the private DMs, like how frustrating it is for her to hear that, because she goes against the norm or the odds, and she's everything he says, or that, sorry, not you, but that influencer says that is not okay with the model or is not acceptable to be a model. And so she's really frustrated by that. And we were having a conversation about how nobody needs to hear that. Like we know going into the casting call what
might be the deterrent or what might get us a no. Like we already know that walking in, so we don't need somebody on social media or otherwise telling us, oh yeah, you are never going to make it because X, Y, and Z. It's terrible to have somebody like in your face about that or people reiterating that for you.
Yeah, like you, who am I? Who are
Mm-hmm.
you? Who is anybody to tell you that
Mm-hmm.
you can't do something?
Right.
And for someone to put someone's photo up
Oh my
and
God, yeah.
analyze them and be like, yeah, look at this person right here. They're never going to make it as a model because they don't look interesting. I'm like, who are you?
Yeah.
That's such a, because you're breaking down somebody's dream. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that influencer knows these people personally.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt it. But even if you do, if you have a goal, if you have a dream, no one should be able to tell you that you can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to live that and experience it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You can go through the ups and downs. You can go through the rejections. You can get the feedback if you ask for it. And like, okay, this is where I need to improve at. This is the confidence level I need to grow. This is the skill set that I need to gain. But for someone to sit there and tell you that you don't have it just based on how you look is
Mm-hmm.
completely,
Insane.
yeah.
Yeah. I feel like there's too much of that negativity. So I'm so glad that you and I can come together and have these positive conversations.
Well, Dana says that we can definitely purchase hugs from her.
Aw.
Purchase hugs and cuddles.
Thank you,
Um,
babe.
my hugs are top tier. Throw me $1 and I got you. Wisdom says
$1? You selling yourself short, Wiz.
that's the biggest thing with models, modeling as far as looks go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we feel anxiety, we feel overthinking already because of how we think we look,
Mm-hmm.
and we're making excuses of not being able to get to where we want. And there are requirements, right? There are measurements that you are supposed to meet. There's height requirements, all these things. But
Preferences.
there's preferences and needs based on the type of modeling that you're doing. So those general rules are not necessarily avoidable. But if you're like an inch or two too short, I'm not gonna tell you to never try.
Well,
Because
also,
there's short models out there.
well,
There's
also,
people who get selected.
I'm not going to tell you, yeah, you're not going to be able to be a high fashion model because you're not 5'9" or up. Like, go be a high fashion model if you want to. Like, go try to attain your dream because that's what you want to do. You don't need me to tell you you can't do it. Why? Because you being shorter than 5'9", if you go try and do it, you're going to face rejection. Obviously, you don't need me telling you that. Like, just if by me telling you don't do it, you're too short, you're immediately going to stop. You know what I mean? There's a very few people who will hear me say you cannot make it and still try to make it. So why would I even tell you don't try it? Like,
Why add more
why
fuel to the flame?
exactly go do it and see what it's like and try because that's the only way that you're going to succeed is if you try, right?
Yeah, and you could be the anomaly. You
Yeah,
could be that person that just, you know what, did it despite the obstacles.
exactly.
And if somebody was to sit there and tell you that you couldn't before you even stepped foot in the
Before you even
door,
tried, right?
and that deterred you, that could
Mm-hmm.
be a whole different lifestyle
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because somebody knocked you off track.
Yeah,
If you allow people to get you inside your head mentally.
that's exactly what the model was telling you. She was like, if I had been told before I started, before I took this journey in New York, that I couldn't do it because I was too short, I would have never tried to do it. But because I was not told by the teacher at the time, those requirements or that I was too short, I went ahead and tried anyways. And look how much I've accomplished from then. And now I'm learning, oh yeah, I've gotten here and now maybe I'm facing a little bit more rejection because of my height, but I'm still doing it and I'm still here and I've come so far.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely brush the haters off is the moral of the story.
See, and
Forget them folks.
you can be your own biggest hater too. So
Yeah, true.
don't let anxiety and overthinking allow you to be your own hater.
Mm-hmm.
You got to give yourself a pat on the back. You have to give yourself those words of affirmation. You have to be able to be your own cheerleader and champion, even when no one else around you is doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mindset is so powerful. You have to have the right mindset to, not just in modeling, but in everything that you're looking to accomplish in life. This is why in Model Society, when you join our coaching program, the very first thing that we cover and we teach you is called the clarity tools. What do you want? Why do you want it? And we go on a very deep subconscious level to get to that emotional point of what's going to push you through these obstacles despite them. How can you push through when you feel rejection? You're going to go down to that why, and you're going to realize that your why is stronger than any obstacle that's going to come your way. Great. I'm glad we were able to have this conversation tonight. I'm glad we added some value. If you ever want to tune in with us every Tuesday, we're here live. You can have these conversations and chat with us some more. If you are looking to get access to that email list, then leave a comment or click down in the show notes below. I'll put a link so that you can join these calls live, and we look forward to continuing to grow. Like, this has just been a strong community that we've grown over the years, and seeing new faces and seeing regular ones come back and join us has always been a pleasure. So I'll let you guys go. Enjoy the rest of your night. Until next week, we'll see you next time.